Welcome everybody to a new edition of my video game collection series. This is part 11. Today I'm going to be going through all the new additions to my collection. We're going to go through them one by one. What I would like to start off with is the fact that I did acquire some new consoles. The most important one, as of recently at least, is that I acquired finally a PlayStation 5 solely for one single video game, but I will get into that in a little later. The other two consoles that I got, one of them of which is a Sega Genesis version 2. I had this Sega Genesis when I was younger. However, throughout moving, traveling, something happened to it. I'm not entirely sure. It just went missing. So after years and years of wanting to get one, I finally was at a video game store where they were selling them for cheap. I think I got this for like around 35 bucks. I just said, screw it, might as well just grab one. You know, I still have video games for, I have a controller. I was just missing the console legitimately. So got myself a replacement, and after that, actually it was the same day that I got that is when I acquired the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, the original. This one was personally refurbished by my good friend Thomas Watson. He has a video game channel as well. I will leave a link in that in the description box below if you want to check him out. I paid him to refurbish this console for me, and he put it back together, and I've been playing some video games that came along with it that I acquired that same day as well. So we're going to go through all of that today. So we're just going to first start off with the Nintendo Entertainment System, and that is the original Legend of Zelda and Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. The only Zelda game I am actually thoroughly playing through right now is Breath of the Wild, and I only ever played a little bit of Ocarina of Time. I never beat a Zelda game before in my life. I will get to these eventually when I want to review them, so we'll see when that day happens. Also for the NES, I have the very difficult Ninja Gaiden. The reason why I say it's difficult is because I've played maybe like a few minutes of it, and I just know I'm gonna have a tough time with these games. I'm not really that good at platforms, you know, side scroll video games, so trying to get through and review these NES games is gonna be a challenge. And speaking of challenges, I have also acquired Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I myself am more of a Power Rangers fan, never really grew up on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I loved when they did a crossover with them in Power Rangers in Space, but you know, Power Rangers for life. And honestly, for shits and giggles for the NES, I wanted to get myself Nintendo Golf. I think it's just called Golf for the Nintendo Entertainment System. And you know, I couldn't have the Nintendo Entertainment System without having the classic Super Mario Brothers. It's not the version with Duck Hunt included, although I will acquire that cart at some point down the line. Now for the Sega Genesis, speaking of how I am more of a Power Rangers fan, on eBay I won an auction on the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie for the Sega Genesis. And I'm a huge Mortal Kombat fan, and I had to grab Mortal Kombat 2. I wanted to get the original Mortal Kombat, however, I think the reason why I didn't is because I think that was just more expensive than the second one. So at some point or another, I will get around to getting the original Mortal Kombat. Going back to Nintendo for the Nintendo 64, I got myself Spider-Man. This one is particularly special because instead of this game having actual cutscenes, it was comic book strips telling the story in like slideshow. So that was really interesting the way they went this route for this game. This game is infamous for being terrible, but I grew up playing it, so at some point I will get around to reviewing it, and that is Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue. And so I'm just gonna finish up the Nintendo side of my collection, which recently I have acquired Metroid Prime. Never played this series. I've always liked Samus as a character, and I am just curious on how this series is. I've heard nothing but good things. I'm a completionist when it comes to most things, if it's affordable, so I just decided to go ahead and grab Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. I don't even have a Nintendo Wii, but I just wanted to complete the trilogy, so I grabbed myself Metroid Prime 3 Corruption. Moving forward to the PlayStation side of things, you know I have a ton of video game reviews for the Need for Speed series, so I had to go all the way back and get the original of Road and Track presents the Need for Speed. And you know I had to get the long box edition. And so to follow up with that, I acquired Need for Speed 2. Slowly but surely, I am going to acquire all of the Need for Speed games. There's just so many of them. Now, I have this game on the Nintendo 64 already, but I wanted to see how it plays on the PlayStation 1, and that is A Bug's Life. On the PlayStation 2 side of things, I have acquired the first in its series, Kingdom Hearts. I still don't understand and get why they decided to cross over Disney characters and Final Fantasy. That just seems like a very strange thing to cross over with. I don't know, maybe hopefully at some point when I do decide to review the series that I'm actually, wow, this was genius. Now, technically speaking, with this game, I've always had it in my collection. However, I forgot that I had it because my little sister had it at her place all these years, and that is Need for Speed Carbon. I've already reviewed that game on my channel, so if you're interested on my thoughts on it, you can check that out on my channel. And speaking of games I've already reviewed on my channel, and that I've already said I've owned before in the past, but yet again, it was at my sister's place, so I've just finally reacquired it from my childhood, and that is 007 Everything or Nothing. So now I have 2 copies of the game. I also have another copy of another video game that I already own. However, the last copy of this video game just didn't work on my PlayStation 2. I guess maybe it was because it was too scratched or whatever the case may be. It also didn't come with the bonus disc that it was supposed to come with, and that is God of War 2. This purchase was a bit of a shits and giggles kind of purchase because I barely ever watched the movies, and it was just sitting there, I think, for, what does it say, $3, and that is The Bourne Conspiracy. Yeah. This game is a disappointing follow-up from its predecessor, and that is Def Jam Icon. I only ever really played the demo of this game back on the PlayStation 3 because I just never got around to actually buying the video game, and so I've just been so curious on like the actual story mode, how it plays out, some of the things that you can do. I've heard nothing but disappointing things about this game, so we'll see what happens when I finally get around to it. Starting a new franchise in my collection, Killzone 2 and Killzone 3. I played Killzone 2 quite a bit when it first originally came out. Never played the original on the PlayStation 2. So at some point I will get around to getting the original Killzone for PlayStation 2 and reviewing that series when I eventually get around to it. Or I'll get around to it sooner if people are really clamoring for me to want to review it. So we'll see what happens. And completing a series in my collection is Resistance 3. I have the first 2. This finally completes it. Insomniac Video Games, the people who now make the great Spider-Man video games, I really wish they would go back and work on this series in some type of capacity. Moving on to the PlayStation 5, the reason why I got a PlayStation 5, Spider-Man 2. I reviewed this on my channel, so if you're interested in my thoughts, you can check that out. I can't wait to start reviewing this series when I get around to it. Maybe this year because it has a movie coming out in December of this year, and that is Sonic Frontiers. I was a big fan of this franchise. It kind of dwindled off and started becoming very repetitive year after year. So I don't know. Hopefully I have a good time playing this game, but that is Far Cry 6. This is the Steelbook edition too. This thing is pretty nice. I still have yet to beat and review more games in the God of War series. I haven't beaten God of War 2, 3, the one in 2018, but I had to get it to complete my collection, and that is God of War Ragnarok. And you know me with racing games, I love my Need for Speed. However, this is just not that series, but we got Gran Turismo 7. Such a good damn racing game. And a game that I've been wanting to play for years. I was kind of just hoping that it was eventually going to get to PC, but it just never did. However, I think I did hear an announcement recently that it was finally coming to PC. Nevertheless, Ghost of Tsushima. Moving on to the Xbox side of things, I decided to grab me Halo 2. However, when I got this copy of the video game, it didn't come with a manual, and I was at the video game store too. I just gotta stop being an introvert and actually speak up about these things. I have also, for the Xbox, Spy Hunter. I remember there being a version or a sequel or follow-up with The Rock. I don't know if that's any good, but hopefully maybe one day we'll get around to it. On the Xbox 360 side of things, I have acquired Fable 3. They didn't have Fable 2, which is what I wanted, really, because I have the first Fable, but they only had Fable 3. So at some point I'll get Fable 2. And another example of them just not having the second follow-up of a series, I got Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 3. One of my favorite video game series of all time. I don't know why I have procrastinated on beating and reviewing Mass Effect 2 for this channel, but I will get to it at some point, I promise. And a video game that definitely deserves a sequel is Bully Scholarship Edition. Speaking of a franchise I love, this follow-up unfortunately did not get great reviews when it came out, specifically from the fan base itself. However, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and that is Mass Effect Andromeda. I got a steelbook version of this video game, and that is Mortal Kombat 11. All right, guys, so that does it for this entry of my video game collection series. I hope you guys enjoyed that or entertained to some type of capacity. But yeah, I am going to be buying more video games very soon. Be on the lookout for more videos in the future, guys, by subscribing, comment, like, thumbs up. Do whatever you guys can to support this channel. Thank you so much for getting us so close to 2,000 subscribers. I have more videos that I have planned to release for you guys. I'm hoping to be more active this year than I was last year. Last year was just, very slow for me. But I'll actually get into all that in a future video. But thank you guys so much. I will see you next time in my next video. Peace out.